The score says Leeds beat Manchester United 2-1 at Old Trafford, but the game said something more uncomfortable than that for any United fan watching. This was one of those matches where the team produced volume, had shots, spent time around the box, but never really gave off the feeling of genuine control. And that gap between noise and control is exactly the sort of detail that separates a competitive side from one that is just busy. Because having the ball is one thing, knowing what to do with it is another. And in this match, United had spells of possession, more shots, more territorial presence, but Leeds were far clearer in their own plan. And that matters. Leeds came in knowing exactly how they wanted to hurt the game: a more protected block, direct play when the window opened, quick attacks into space, and aggression when it came to attacking the box with very few touches. It was not a glamorous performance. It was better than that. It was a performance from a team that was honest about what it wanted to be. And United's problems started far too early. 5 minutes in, Leeds were already ahead through Okafor after a move that exposed exactly the sort of thing English supporters hate seeing from their own side: a defense reacting late inside the box and losing the second phase of the action. Even before that, Leeds had already threatened through Calvert-Lewin in the 3rd minute. So this was not some random accident. The warning signs were there straight away. And this is the bit that has to be said plainly. United did try to force the game forward, but they often did it in a predictable way. Rush crosses, blocked shots, attacks that arrived without properly clearing the picture, circulation that occupied territory without really disorganizing Leeds. That is sterile possession, the kind that makes the pass map look respectable but does not actually pull the opponent apart. And against a side that came prepared to suffer without breaking shape, that becomes easy food for the defense. At the other end, Leeds were much more surgical. The second goal on 29 minutes summed up the first half rather well. Aronson gets a shot away. The move stays alive. Okafor reacts to the loose ball on the edge of the area and makes it 2-0. Again, second ball, quicker reaction, sharper reading of the danger zone. And that is not some tiny detail. In the Premier League, plenty of big matches are decided exactly there, by the side that wins the organized chaos, not by the side that only looks dominant. Leeds understood very well where this game could be won. In the wide corridors, with Bogle and Gudmundsson providing depth, through the physical reference of Calvert-Lewin, who battled the center backs, held the ball, attacked crosses, and pushed United's last line backward, and in the spaces around the edge of the box, where Okafor and Aronson found far too much freedom at an important moment. Leeds did not have more possession, but they had more clarity. And clarity without the ball is worth its weight in gold. The numbers only make that clearer. United had more possession, more shots, and more efforts on target. But Leeds finished with a higher XG, to 0.36 to 1.31, and with for big chances to United's 1. That blows apart any lazy reading that says United deserved more because they attacked more. Attacking more is not the same as attacking better. Leeds created the cleaner chances, the more dangerous chances, and the chances that actually fitted the pattern of the game. That counts for far more. And here a proper telling off is deserved. Too many people see 20 United shots and instantly start selling the story of injustice. No, not every shot carries the same value. Shooting more does not mean controlling better. United had volume. Leeds had threat. In serious football, threat matters more than statistical foam. Even so, the game did shift in the second half. And it shifted for an odd reason. United became more desperate, but also more direct. Then came the major turning point. On 56 minutes, Lisandro Martínez was sent off after the VAR review. That should have been the perfect moment for the game to die for United. And, ironically, it did not. In fact, after the red card, United probably had their most emotionally forceful spell of the match. And that says two things at once. The first is positive. They did not down tools, they pushed. They sped things up, they attacked crosses, they filled the box. And they found the 2-1 through Casemiro's header from a very good Bruno Fernandes cross on 6-9 minutes. The second is far less comfortable. Why does that sense of urgency show up more clearly when the game is already slipping away? Because that is the point. United reacted, but they reacted more through chaos than control. More through force of will than through organization. There is emotional credit in that, of course, but it also exposes an identity problem. A big club cannot rely so heavily on the siege mentality just to look dangerous. It has to know how to build advantage in a cleaner way, more predictable for itself and more unpredictable for the opponent. Bruno Fernandes, in that context, was the player who tried hardest to give United's game some meaning, even with the odd error, and even with the booking for dissent. The cross for Casemiro's goal came from him, and so did much of the side's attacking structure. Casemiro deserves mention as well because, beyond the goal, he was heavily involved in attacking second balls and arriving in the area. But that also reveals another problem. When your holding midfielder is becoming one of your main tools for presence and occupation in the box, then something is missing in the attacking mechanism of the players ahead of him. For Leeds, Okafor was decisive because he understood his role brilliantly. It was not just about the 2 goals. It was about his reading of space, his aggression at the right moment, and his ability to appear between lines and near the box with proper timing. Calvert-Lewin also played an important part without scoring because he unsettled the defense, created physical battles, attacked crosses, and still had a clear chance to all but kill the match in the second half. Bogle was another key figure, especially down the right, giving Leeds depth and quality in delivery. And there is one detail here that cannot be ignored. Leeds did not win only because United made mistakes. They won because they knew how to suffer without losing sight of what they were doing. That is game management. That is a coach side. Not necessarily a brilliant one, but one that knows what it wants to be. And for a team in that part of the table, that is huge. United, meanwhile, come away with a defeat that hurts more because of the message than the scoreline. Because losing can happen. The problem is losing in a way that reinforces old doubts. Doubts about defensive compactness. Doubts about emotional control. Doubts about the ability to turn possession into genuine authority. Doubts about how well the side is actually coached to break down a medium block without depending on chaos, rebounds, and crosses. In the end, this match says a few very uncomfortable truths about Manchester United. The first is that the team still swings too wildly between organization and emotional improvisation. The second is that it remains vulnerable when it loses the ball and has to defend space properly. And the third is that, when the opponent is disciplined, physical, and vertical, United can still be dragged into a type of match they do not really know how to control. Leeds, on the other hand, leave with a win worth far more than 3 points. They leave with the feeling that, against an opponent bigger in name and stronger on paper, they managed to impose discomfort, compete in the right duels, survive pressure, and execute a recognizable plan. It was not spectacle. It was competence. And honestly, sometimes that is exactly what separates a coach side from one that is merely hyped up. The 2-1 scoreline does not tell the whole story, but it does not lie either. United pushed, reacted, and nearly found a way back. But they spent far too much time playing the game Leeds wanted. And once you hand the script to the opponent that early, there is no point complaining about the ending. Now the real question is this: was this just another bad day for United? Or more proof that this side still looks more intense than it is reliable?